Last January, during a cold snap that dropped temperatures across the Midwest to 15 below zero, a volunteer in Cleveland handed a silver pouch to a man sleeping under a highway overpass. It cost less than a pizza. 3 days later, when she came back to check on him, he was still there, still alive. He told her that little silver bag was the only reason. That pouch was an emergency bivvy sack, a piece of camping gear designed for lost hikers. And all across America, ordinary people are discovering that the newest camping inventions were never just for campers. Every winter in the United States, hundreds of people experiencing homelessness die from the cold. Hypothermia doesn't need a blizzard to kill. It starts working on the human body at around 50 degrees when clothing is wet, and once a person's core temperature drops just a few degrees, confusion sets in, then drowsiness, then a sleep they never wake up from. Emergency shelters do heroic work, but during severe cold snaps, cities from Denver to Chicago to Portland report the same thing. Every bed is full, the waiting lists are long, and thousands of people are still outside when the sun goes down. For decades, the standard response from caring neighbors was a blanket and a hot meal. Both matter, but a cotton blanket soaked by freezing rain can actually make things worse, pulling heat away from the body faster than bare skin loses it. Worse. Then something changed. Over the past few years, the outdoor recreation industry poured enormous money into gear for extreme backpacking, winter mountaineering, and emergency preparedness. Materials got lighter, warmer, and dramatically cheaper. Equipment that once cost hundreds of dollars and lived in specialty mountaineering shops now sells for the price of a family dinner. And quietly, without headlines or press conferences, volunteers across the country started buying this gear by the case, not for camping trips, for the people sleeping in their cities. These are the 8 inventions making the difference. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how people are using every one of them. Number 1. The emergency bivvy sack. Picture a sleeping bag made from the same reflective material NASA developed for spacecraft, sealed into a waterproof shell about the size of a soda can when packed. That's the modern emergency bivvy. Unlike the crinkly mylar blankets you've seen handed out at marathons, which tear easily and slide off during sleep, a bivvy sack fully encloses the sleeper. The reflective interior bounces the vast majority of a person's own body heat right back at them, while the sealed shell blocks wind and rain completely. The newest versions solve the problem that ruined the older ones: condensation. Early models turned into clammy plastic bags by morning. The 2026 generation uses breathable reflective fabric that lets moisture escape while trapping warmth, and some models are durable enough to be reused night after night for an entire winter. Outreach workers in Minneapolis, one of the coldest major cities in America, along with street teams like Chicago's Night Ministry, now consider these standard equipment right alongside socks and hand warmers. A volunteer can carry 20 of them in a single backpack, 20 chances to get somebody through the night. And on the coldest nights of the year, when a person is sleeping on a park bench or in a doorway, that sealed pocket of reflected body heat can be the difference between waking up and not waking up. But as every experienced winter camper will tell you, what's wrapped around your body is only half the battle. The real thief works from below. Number 2, the insulated sleeping pad. Ask any backpacker who has spent a night on frozen ground, and they'll tell you a lesson they learned the hard way. The ground steals more heat than the air does. When a human body lies directly on cold concrete or frozen dirt, the earth acts like an enormous heat sink, pulling warmth out through every point of contact. A person can be wrapped in 3 blankets and still be losing a dangerous amount of heat straight down into a sidewalk. The camping industry solved this with insulated sleeping pads, rated by something called R-value, which measures resistance to heat loss. The latest closed-cell foam pads fold up like an accordion, weigh under a pound, cost around $25, and put a wall of insulation between a sleeper and the frozen ground. They can't be punctured, they can't deflate, and they last for years. Church groups in Denver figured out something clever. They buy these accordion-style foam pads in bulk and hand them out with a simple explanation. Never sleep directly on concrete. That one sentence, plus one piece of foam, changes the math of surviving a night outside. Volunteers say the pads are often more appreciated than blankets because people living outside already understand the ground problem better than anyone. They felt it. However, warmth you carry with you is one thing. What about warmth you can switch on? Number 3, rechargeable hand warmers and heated clothing. Your grandfather's hand warmers ran on lighter fluid or were single-use chemical packets that went cold in a few hours and ended up in the trash. The new generation is completely different. The 2026 models are metal devices about the size of a bar of soap, and they put out steady heat for 8 to 12 hours on a single charge. Many double as phone chargers, which matters more than you might think, and we'll come back to that. Even more remarkable is heated clothing. Vests, jackets, gloves, and even socks now come with thin carbon fiber heating elements woven into the fabric, powered by small rechargeable battery packs. Press a button and warmth spreads across the chest and back, protecting the body's core, which is exactly what doctors say matters most in preventing hypothermia. Prices that started in the hundreds have fallen to the point where a heated vest costs about the same as a nice sweater. Veterans outreach groups in Michigan have been distributing heated vests to homeless veterans for the past 2 winters, and the volunteers describe the reaction the same way every time: disbelief and then tears. For someone who has spent years being cold, the sensation of warmth arriving at the push of a button feels almost impossible. But every one of these devices shares a weakness: batteries die. Which brings us to the invention holding this entire quiet movement together. Number 4, portable power stations and folding solar panels. A decade ago, a portable power station was a 100-pound generator that ran on gasoline. Today, it's a quiet box the size of a lunch cooler, packed with lithium batteries that can recharge phones, hand warmers, heated vests, and even small medical devices like CPAP machines dozens of times over. Pair it with a folding solar panel, which now rolls up like a yoga mat, and you have a renewable power source that works anywhere the sun shines. Here's why this matters so much. For a person experiencing homelessness, a charged phone is one of the most important things they own. It's how they call the shelter hotline when temperatures drop. It's how they reach the caseworker helping them find housing. It's how they dial 911 when someone nearby stops breathing in the cold. Social workers have said for years that a dead phone battery can undo months of progress toward getting someone housed. So volunteers in cities like Sacramento and Austin now run what they call charging tables. A folding table, a power station, a solar panel, and a box of charging cables, set up in a park one afternoon a week. People line up not just to charge phones, but to top up hand warmers and battery packs for the week ahead. One power station, costing a few $100s and often funded by a single church congregation's collection plate, can keep dozens of people connected and warm. And connection, as you're about to see, sometimes matters as much as warmth, because the next threat on this list isn't cold at all. Number 5, the personal water filter. Dehydration in winter sounds strange, but it's one of the most common dangers outreach nurses see. Public restrooms close, drinking fountains are shut off for the season, and a person sleeping outside may go a full day without safe water. Some are forced to drink from sources that would make anyone sick, and an intestinal illness for someone already weakened by cold can turn deadly fast. The camping world's answer is the personal straw filter. It looks like an oversized drinking straw. costs around $15 to $20 and contains a membrane so fine that it removes practically all bacteria and parasites from water. A single filter can clean over 1,000 gallons. Drink through it directly from almost any water source, and what reaches your mouth is safe. These filters were invented for hikers and disaster relief, and they've been credited with protecting people after hurricanes and earthquakes around the world. Now, outreach teams in Los Angeles and Phoenix hand them out year-round, and they become one of the most requested items on the street because clean water is a daily problem that never takes a season off. Volunteers pack them into kits right beside the socks and the granola bars, and they change lives for the price of 2 cups of coffee. Now, before we get to the 3 inventions that might be the most impressive of all, there's a part of this story I have to be honest with you about, because it's the reason many of these volunteer groups exist in the first place. Most of the people receiving this gear were not homeless a year ago. They had apartments, jobs, and families. Then a medical bill arrived, or the rent went up, or a spouse passed away and the math stopped working. Ask any outreach worker and they'll tell you. The distance between a warm bed and a cold sidewalk in America is usually just 1 or 2 bad months. Millions of households, including plenty of retirees on fixed incomes, are living that close to the edge right now, and most of them have no idea what they would actually do if it happened to them. The volunteers who have done this work the longest have learned things that go far beyond gear. What to do in the first 72 hours if you ever lose your housing, how to stay safe, protect your documents, keep your dignity, and work your way back indoors, and how to help someone in that situation in ways that actually change their odds. Instead of just easing our own conscience, it's detailed, sensitive material. And there's simply no way to walk through all of it properly in a video like this. That's why we put it all into one place. It's called The Veteran's Blueprint, and it lays out the survival, preparedness, and recovery strategies for anyone who is struggling, anyone who loves someone who is struggling, and anyone who wants their help to truly count. The link is in the description below this video. It takes about a minute to get, and it's the kind of knowledge you'll wish you had on the shelf the first night you or someone you care about needs it. Again, that's The Veteran's Blueprint, first link in the description. The next invention on this list is the one that made old-school outreach workers stop and stare. Number 6, the 4-season hot tent. For most of history, a tent kept the rain off and nothing more. The newest 4-season tents are a different species entirely. Built with double-wall construction and reinforced poles, they're engineered to shrug off heavy snow loads and winds that would flatten an ordinary tent. And the most remarkable 2026 versions, called hot tents, include a built-in fireproof port that safely vents a small camping stove, letting the inside stay genuinely warm even when it's below 0 outside. In several cities, sanctioned encampment programs and winter outreach groups have started replacing donated summer tents, which collapse under the first wet snow. With these 4-season shelters, volunteers describe walking into one on a January morning and feeling the temperature difference the moment they step through the door. But this is also where volunteers are most careful. And it's a warning worth repeating to anyone you know. Never run a fuel-burning heater or stove inside a closed tent without proper ventilation. Carbon monoxide is invisible, odorless, and it kills campers and homeless people alike every single winter. The reason hot tents are safe is the engineered vent system, and outreach teams pair every stove with a battery-powered carbon monoxide alarm, which now costs about $20. Gear saves lives. Knowledge saves more. And sometimes the most powerful invention isn't high technology at all. Sometimes it's something shepherds figured out 1,000 years ago, perfected by modern science. Number 7, Merino wool layering systems. Cotton has a nickname among search and rescue teams. They call it death cloth. When cotton gets wet, it loses its ability to insulate and pulls heat away from the skin. A person in wet jeans and a cotton hoodie on a 30-degree night is in real danger, even if they look bundled up. Merino wool is the opposite. It comes from a breed of sheep raised in harsh mountain climates, and its fibers keep insulating even when soaked. It resists odor for days. It doesn't itch like old-fashioned wool, and it regulates temperature so well that the same shirt works in winter and summer. For years, it was expensive boutique gear. Now, base layers, socks, and beanies made from merino blends have dropped to prices ordinary donors can afford. Sock drives have noticed the single most requested clothing item at shelters nationwide, year after year, is socks. So knitting circles and church groups that used to donate cotton socks have switched to wool blends, and shelter nurses will tell you the difference shows up in the exam room. In fewer cases of frostbitten toes and trench foot, one retired nurse in Ohio, who organizes an annual wool sock drive, put it simply. She said, "We can't house everyone this winter, but we can make sure nobody in this town loses their feet." And that spirit, neighbors solving what they can solve, leads us to the final item on this list. And it's the one anyone watching can join by tomorrow morning. Number 8, the trunk kit. Drive through almost any American city today, and some of the cars around you are carrying something you'd never guess. In the trunk, next to the jumper cables, is a plastic tote filled with camping gear, an emergency bivvy or two, a foam sleeping pad, wool socks, hand warmers, a water filter, granola bars, sometimes a pair of gloves, and a printed card listing local shelter phone numbers. They're called trunk kits or blessing bags, and the idea spread through churches, veterans halls, and neighborhood Facebook groups without any organization ever officially launching it. The concept is simple. Instead of feeling helpless when you pass someone sleeping in the cold, you pull over, hand them a kit, and drive away, knowing that person's odds just improved tonight. Retired folks have become the backbone of this movement. Grandmothers assemble kits at kitchen tables. Retired veterans hand them out on routes they drive every week, checking on the same familiar faces. A women's group at a church in Indiana reported assembling several hundred kits in a single season, funded by bake sales and quiet envelopes left in the collection basket. There was never any press coverage or a hashtag behind it. Just car trunks, quietly stocked all over the country. So what can you actually do with all this? More than you might think, and for less than $50. If you take away one practical idea from this video, make it this: build one kit, one emergency bivvy sack around $15, one folding foam pad around $25, one pair of wool blend socks, and a few hand warmers under $10. Put them in a bag in your trunk with a bottle of water and a snack. That's it. You may carry it for months before you meet the person who needs it, but winter is patient, and so is a well-packed trunk. If you'd rather give through others, call a local shelter or outreach group first and ask what they actually need, because the answer is almost always socks, hand warmers, and sleeping pads rather than more blankets. And if you know a veteran, a widow, or anyone living close to the edge, the same gear in this video belongs in their closet too. Preparedness isn't fear, it's love with a plan. Here's the thought I'll leave you with. None of these inventions were created to solve homelessness, and none of them will. Housing does that, and that work belongs to all of us as citizens. But between here and there, on the coldest nights this country has, a $20 piece of camping gear in the right hands is buying people time. Time to find a shelter bed, time to reach a caseworker, time to make it to spring. And the people buying that time aren't billionaires or agencies. They're neighbors, most of them old enough to remember when looking out for each other wasn't remarkable at all. If stories like this one matter to you, hit subscribe, because every week we cover the practical inventions and quiet acts of decency that never make the evening news. I'll see you in the next one.